Welcome back, folks. Hope you're doing well. We're back for part 3 with Cephalopocalypse, the Cultist of Entropy. We just showed off our Herald of Oblivion and how he helped us take down that extremely powerful random boss or random unique. I forget exactly what it was because I recorded that a little while ago. Before we continue on with the ruins of Kor'Pul, though, we're actually going to, well, I'll pick this up and then we're actually going to back out real quick to the world map. Let me take a look at what he dropped, though. We've got a nice, unique male. We need 14 strength to put it on, and it gives us life regen and healing mod and a couple stats that we don't really care about. It's definitely better, I think, than our current... Well, 40 maximum life, actually, is pretty good, so we'll hang on to that for the moment, but we may end up not using it. Then we've got this maximum life lantern. Is it better than our current lantern? Same light radius, gives us a little infravision, and gives us 4 magic, so it's very minorly better than our current lantern. Everything else is worthless to us, so... Oh, actually, hang on. These boots give us a random blink, but they are better, which is pretty dangerous to use, but they are better than our current boots, which were just completely normal white boots with no effect. We've got the Storming the City quest, because we hit level 14, so we'll have to clear out some elementals from Dearth if we want to go back there. Before we do any of that, let's just do a quick shopping trip. See if we can get a better regeneration, or some better Shatter Afflictions runes, anything along those lines. Alright, here we've got some pretty bad regeneration runes, so nothing that we want there. We're also on the lookout for a Wand of Clairvoyance, and here is one. So this is a way that we can see through walls, which is really extremely useful, so let's grab that. Also have some possible staves, but none of those are particularly good. Come on. You always accidentally talk to that guy because you bump him on your way out of town. Alright, and then just going to check the town down here. Shatter Afflictions on our 12 cooldown. That's better than our current Shatter Afflictions, so snapping that one off. And then off to the next town. There's a Zigguranth patrol over here that we need to dodge around. Come on, you're blocking the... Alright, they're blocking the exact route that we want to go, so we're going to have to go around this side. I believe it's level 15 that you can trigger the trapped quest, but I might be wrong about that, and we might accidentally trigger a quest we don't want to trigger here, but hopefully not. Let's take a look. The mirror image rune is still there, actually, so that's good to know. There's another 12 cooldown shatter rune. We've got a 14 and a 12. Let's use our 12 here and replace the 14. So we don't need to buy that. Let's also transmogrify this. We're never going to use that, and we're never going to use this. Kind of clear out our inventory a little bit. Gonna put this Wand of Clairvoyance in my inventory as well. Because that we can use later on. Here's the wand. And I'm gonna take this Torque of Clear Mind out of my hotbar because I don't want to accidentally trigger it. Let's take a look here. We're looking mostly for a really good regeneration rune. This one is 227 on a 12-turn cooldown, and we currently have 226 on a 14-turn cooldown. So this is a small upgrade, but I will take it. It's only 30 gold. We'll check for a better one in the other city, but just out of laziness, I'm not checking every shop first. And then over here, we can check this last city for another rune. Any regeneration? Nope, nothing good. Okay, so we can use this regeneration rune in place of our current one. It's about the same healing, but on a 2-turn fewer cooldown, so obviously it's better. Alright, and now we can go do the dungeon. So we hop in, and I can use the Wand of Clairvoyance, and that shows us where enemies are. So we know there's a Cold Drake hatchling over there. Again, this won't come up a ton right now, but we definitely need some way to see through walls. And so I would like to pick that up early, when we know that we have it. Have the option of getting it, even though we're still going to be auto-exploring throughout this dungeon. At this pack of dragons here and an armored skeleton. None of these are too dangerous, but let's block them off from us with a void monolith anyways. All right, here's a rare. It's a berserker, but he's blocked off from us. We don't have the upgraded prophecies yet, so let me pop our brand new regeneration rune. We've also been confused because the berserker has a huge confusion shout. Took him out though, now we've got another one. So we don't have the ability to apply Nile to 2 enemies at a time yet, so we're pretty unlikely to trigger the Herald of Oblivion when enemies are all stacked up like this. Teleport him away from me. Double prophecy him. And we're actually getting a little close to summoning the Herald here. Oh, let me get rid of this Summertide Vial too, because we're using a different lantern now. Alright, and he is dead. But next level, we'll be able to upgrade our Nile to level 3, and then we apply it to 2 units at once, so that's much better. Anyways, we've got 1 stack here, so let's do second stack. Or we've got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we should summon right here. Let's also take a quick look at the Herald, just because he looks really badass when he's all big like this. He has a pretty enormous stat boost because he gets bonus stats equal to our magic. So that's one of the reasons we're maxing magic. You can see it's got base 10 stats, but everything's in the 60s. Also has a couple really powerful talents, like Blink Blade, which just does a big pile of damage, and Void Crash, which does a huge explosion. Also, he one-shot that rare enemy that we were just facing. There's something off screen there. We're just going to get out of the way. All right, it was a snake. It's an Oozemancer. Well, let's see if we can summon Harold to deal with him. This is going to be our normal skill rotation against rares, and there's Harold. I just love how when you summon him, there's just a huge explosion. The game, like, sort of stops working a little bit. Guy's around the corner, so we're actually not stacking Nile on him because we can't see him currently. Teleport him to the other side there of that hallucination. It died. All right, and then we've got this enemy who's also starting a little injured. This mold I'm not too worried about, so we can just kind of blast it. All right, we've got this guy. This is a Shadow Blade skeleton. So Shadow Blade, pretty dangerous enemy type. I'm going to blink away from him. He teleported somewhere. So I'm just going to put up a monolith and hope it's next to him. He was right up here. Has 3 stacks of Nile. Has 5 stacks of Nile. Get used to looking at that number a lot. And boom, and he's dead. All right, got another rogue skeleton type, or a marauder, but that's a kind of rogue in this game. Which means we really don't want to stand next to him, but that's what the black monolith is for. And then Harold comes in and cleans up. You can see why I was in such a hurry to get to level 14 here. That's a rare, but it was a bunny. which has very low base hit points, so not that frightening, and we were able to just kill it. 2 enemies at once, so it's a little harder to stack Nile against 2 enemies because the Nile just goes on a random target in sight range, so it will not necessarily stack. And against a Necromancer like this guy, his summons can tank the Nile stacks. That said, we actually got pretty lucky there. All the Nile stacked on the skeleton and still summoned the Herald. I'm just going to blink away from these summoned skeletons. Oops. Gonna pop Clairvoyant so we can see there's a rare over there, so I can actually stand here behind a corner. No, I guess there's another wall in the way, but you can sometimes stand around a corner and get the rares without actually taking a hit, which we will do shortly. Let me kill that dread. It was invisible in this tile. All right, we know. Just waiting for my cooldowns to come back off, and I believe the rare was in this tile, so we should be able to hit it around the corner. Let me use the wand. No, okay, it was in that tile, so if I step up to here and then to here, we should be able to get it without being seen. Ah, no, it's one tile over. All right, I'm going to stop worrying about not being seen by this one rare. I just kind of wanted to show that off, but it's a Cultist of Entropy just like us. Actually put our Cacophony on cooldown, so that's going to make it harder for us to stack Nile on him. But we can use both Prophecies, and that does replace the Prophecies, but stacks more additional Nile on him. So now we're up to 5, and then Dark Whispers, and we get our Herald. Got an arrow coming at us from the east there, so we'll just cast down the corridor at whatever was shooting it. Our light radius is pretty bad for this dungeon, so we actually are having trouble seeing things. We'll just tank that slime spit. Okay, we've got a boss. This is a vampire, very, very dangerous chassis. They're fast. They have more hit points than it looks like because they can go into the negatives without dying. And it's a Mind Slayer and Archmage. So this could be a boss that we have to run from. Let's see what we can do. Already took a ton of damage because he's got a big explosion effect, so let's pop our regeneration. He's stuck there and has no stacks of Nile yet. Got up to 0 stacks. Up to 1 because it looks like he resisted a stack. So when enemies resist a stack of Nile, it obviously is harder to get them with the Herald. Let's pop this to remove that 78 damage flame effect. Try to preserve our shield a little better. Up to 3 Nile stacks on the enemy here. Dark Whispers, that should be 4. Yep. Transfer the entropy for our 5th stack, and hopefully he doesn't resist this from this Dark Whispers, and we get the Herald. Looks like it did resist, or the summon went off screen. I think the summon went off screen. Or it removed all the stacks before our turn. I could check the log, but I'm just going to blink away. This enemy is really strong, and I want to get my stuff off cooldown. We've got this beam that can actually reach, so I'm just firing it down the corridor. Then I'm going to repop this. Enemy coming back, so it looks like we did trigger the Herald because he's taken a ton of damage off screen. Herald is also on a cooldown, so we can't just resummon it immediately by stacking Nile back up. Enemies at minus 42 health. We have a small burning effect, but nothing too dangerous right now. I do have an anarchic walk if we need it. Put another Dark Whisper stack, enemy down to minus 89. No prophecies on it, so I'll put those back on, and it dies. Okay. Oh, and we've got another random unique here. This is a Bulwark and Wormic, so it's very fast and can stun us if it gets next to us. Let's do this. Oh gosh, we got hit by a 700 health freezing effect, so we're frozen and would have to deal 700 melee damage to it from the inside to break out, but luckily we can cleanse it with a Shatter Afflictions rune. I'm going to use Entropic Gift here to try to pull it back, stop it from getting next to us. Dark Whispers, and then I'm popping regen, try to heal myself back up. Let's teleport the enemy away now. So he is here in this doorway. One turn, we can Black Monolith and block him off. Okay, not yet. Actually, wait, why can't I cast this? Oh, right, we need Void Stars to summon a Black Monolith, and we don't have any right now. Enemy is down to 45% health, and we are stuck in his damage field, so I'm going to cast some stuff into the darkness here, try to summon some hallucinations. Then I have a Black Monolith I can cast in the way of him, so he should be in one of these tiles. Might be backing around the corner to come after me. So I'm just shooting off into the darkness a little bit. I'm going to pop my Clairvoyance and see if we can see where he is. Alright, it looks like he died because there's weapons on the ground there. There's loot on the ground. Couple random normal enemies over here. Open all these doors. Okay, so here's another vault. This Kor'Pul has some of the more dangerous vaults for the tier 1 dungeons, so this could be a dangerous thing to open. We've got these crystals. They will all shoot at me. They shoot bolts, but we can block their shots with the Black Monolith, and then they won't be able to hit me. This one teleports behind me, but that's okay. Let's kill the one that's behind and not blocked off from shooting me. And then blast those. They do teleport randomly around, and we know there's one more somewhere in the area, so there he is. Could use Clairvoyance to see it, but just kind of run around, and we should go to the next level of Kor'Pul. Okay, we've got a ring. It's obviously better than any other rings, but also it's a stun immunity ring, which is really important. Stun freeze immunity is one of the best stats that we can get, and we want to stack that up to 100% before the mid-game. I think none of those staves are better than our current staff. Our belt was pretty bad, though, so let's look at these belts. We've got a max life belt, which might actually just be better than what we have right now, and this one is useless. A couple robes that aren't worth anything. It's all tier 1 robes. These boots do give us the ability to jump directly away from an enemy. You can't go through walls with that, though. I will hang on to this pickaxe because it's on a very low cooldown, so it takes 18 turns to dig, so it's definitely better than our current pickaxe, which I think was like 38 turns. Everything else here I'm not going to worry about. Alright, let's pop Clairvoyance just in case we spawn in a big pack of enemies, which we kind of did. So I want to aggro just one set of these enemies and not all of them at once. So we'll step to here, and I can take this rare and this Minotaur, but not this rare if I target Dark Whispers here. So now we know that we should only have to fight a couple enemies at a time. Do have a shadow coming from off screen. Alright, so this guy got aggroed because a hallucination spawned on top of it. So that's kind of funny. Use my regen. This guy has Nile 3, but is going to die before that goes off. We know this enemy is still moving. around the corner. I'm going to step out of the flame effect until that goes away. Clairvoyance is off cooldown, or on cooldown, but I can just shoot off into the darkness a little bit. See what sort of shows up. Keep doing that for a minute, and the skeleton was indeed coming after us and is now down to 30% health. Another shadow up here, so we know there's an enemy. There's a doomed enemy off the screen somewhere. I'm going to pop my thing. It's not that guy. That's a different rare. All right, there it is. Nope, that's a saw butcher. Looks like it's maybe off to the left somewhere. I'm going to step up here and try to aggro. All right, there it is. It's that white worm mass, so we'll try to grab it so it stops irritating us with these shadows. Looks like this enemy is coming after us as well, so we'll hit it with Dark Whispers because that hallucination aggroed it. Only at Nile 2 because all the shadows were tanking the Nile effects. So let's go here. We've got this guy at Nile 0. Dark Whispers. 2 Prophecies, putting him up to 3. Let's push him away. Going up to 4. Looks like we won't need to summon because he's just gonna die anyways. Pop this pop this Clairvoyance just to see where enemies are. All right, and we should be able to just keep moving for a bit. We know there's a rare enemy down here, but I'm just gonna auto-explore lazily for now. Again, just good to keep in mind there's a rare off to our left. Oh, something is chewing through the wall up here, coming after us, so we're pretty sure it's in this tile. Now it's down in this tile. Not sure exactly what that is, but we can use our Clairvoyance to find out. Okay, so it's a rare Umber Hulk, so Umber Hulks can go through walls natively. This one's just a rare summoner, so it's not too bad for us. Let's put the Black Monolith there so it'll get dazed when it walks out. And then try to maintain only being able to see this guy to stack Nile on just this guy, but it resisted at least one of the Nile stacks. There we go, up to 1. Oh no, I guess it went from 0 to 1. So yeah, it did get the Nile stacks on it. Here we have 2 Nile stacks. Let's hit it with that. Still only 2 because the other one went on this War Dog, so it looks like we'll just kill it without the Herald. Slowly died to the damage over time. Ooh, we got a nice bow. Obviously does nothing for us, but kind of fun. Right, here's another rare. It's a Wormic. This one should die pretty quick. I actually did not pay attention to that poison, and I rested with a giant poison on me, which could have been lethal if it had been a larger poisoning effect. So that was sloppy play. We've got this guy. Let me Cacophony. Let me remove the stun, so he should have 3 stacks of Nile. That should be 5. We then need to remove the blind because you need to be able to see the enemy in order to apply Nile to them. And there we go. Harold comes up and pops him in the face. Let me also level up real quick, because if we get our 3rd point in Nile, then it goes from 1 random enemy to 2 random enemies, and that's a huge boost for our ability to actually summon Herald. We get 2 class points because it's level 15. So I could either go from 2 to 3 random enemies with the 4th point in Nile, which is pretty good, or start leveling some of this other stuff. I think because we want to summon Herald as much as possible, I am going to go straight up to 4 points in Nile, and then we'll sit here on 3 random enemies. No point in going up to 4. But this way we should be able to stack to 6, even in reasonably sized crowds of enemies fairly easily. Oh wow, this guy took a bunch of damage from itself, because it was firing an AoE Ice Blast, hit the Void Monolith, and it exploded on itself. So notice that this has 3 stacks of Nile, and this has 1 stack of Nile because we leveled that up. This is up to... still only at 3 because it resisted 1. Now it's at 5. And then... missed on that one, I think. Or Herald went off screen. There's another guy over here. Yeah, looks like we missed on that last stack of Nile. You would be able to see the unit in our party. Alright, got an actually full Drake, not just a Drake hatchling, so even though this is just a white enemy, it's still a pretty big threat, because dragon-type enemies have a ton of resistances and do a lot of base damage. And the ones that are full dragons and not just hatchlings are more dangerous as well. Okay. We're just casting off into the dark. This enemy we can't see the enemy, so we're not applying Nile to it when we can't see it, but it's still worth just getting the cacophony damage on it, especially against a rare. We can just kill it that way. Let's open all those. Now there's another vault over here. This one has a bunch of bloated horrors, so these guys can't move, but they do fire a beam that does a ton of damage. So I'm going to teleport back around the corner here. And then we're going to Dark Whispers in to the darkness, where they can't see me. One way that you can tell that we are hitting something is we're gaining insanity. You can't gain insanity out of combat, so if we weren't hitting anything, we wouldn't be getting any insanity. I'm also just going to pop the Clairvoyance now to make sure they're all dead. It doesn't really work into vaults, so this guy actually teleported away. Clairvoyance doesn't work into vaults, but we can see where they've teleported to elsewhere. See if there's any around. There was briefly one over there, but I think it teleported away. Yeah, so there's that one. Let's walk in here and just make sure this area is clear. This guy popped out and hit us with a big confuse. Oh, I'm misclicking a lot. There we go. Up to 5 Nile stacks. Killed it before the 6th one went off. Just gonna pop Clairvoyance again and see if there's... Okay, so the guy's over here somewhere, or was. They teleport randomly around, which is pretty annoying when you're trying to make sure to clear them before opening the doors. But we've got him now. Got him right where we want him. 1 point of Nile. Already has Dark Whispers, so this should be up to 2. We have to do some regeneration, and then it died. Okay, so I believe that was all the bloated horrors. Let's open the rest of the vault up. I'm still just popping Clairvoyance in case I missed one and it comes around the corner. Looks like there's nothing in here, so I'm just gonna Dark Whispers just to be safe, but nope, there was nothing. We get some runes and a robe. Let's take a look at our items here. So Healing Rune, a Blink Rune with range 3 and 18 cooldown, so not great. An Acid Wave Rune that's worse than our current one, so bad runes, unfortunately. Confusion Immunity is not terrible on an Amulet. Gives us a little bit of resistances and some Confusion Immunity. I'm not going to worry too much about that though. And then over here we've got a plus strength plus con belt, which is fine but not great. Then Silk Current. This is pretty interesting. So it gives us plus effective level to our any frost spells we cast. We don't cast any. But it also has a 5% chance whenever a spell hits, it casts Water Jet. So it just increases our damage significantly. In addition to that, we get a little spell power and also some movement speed. So if we actually use our turn to move, then this makes that take less percent of a turn. So we're going to equip that. Also, this Elm Totem of Summon Tentacle is a pretty nice one to have access to. It's just an extra summon, so we're going to hang on to that for now. I'm going to get rid of this bad pickaxe as well. Just kind of clean up my inventory a little. All right. And on we go. Technically, you should pop Clairvoyant before you change levels, because it lasts for 10 turns and takes a turn to use. So if you pop it before you take the stairs, then you'll get sight without having to spend a turn doing that. So that was a little lazy by me. We'll use this, and then that, and then shoot this guy. And killed it. I use Clairvoyance just to make sure there's nothing super scary showing up. There's a non-random unique, the skeletal mold up there. That shouldn't be too much of a threat. Looks like we're around a doorway from it as well. I am going to just like aggro some of these things from off screen. And then take a look at the terrain. Can I get the Dark Whispers on the mold around the corner easily? Not easily, so I think we're just going to do it this way. That's a rare, so I would prefer not to aggro both of them at once, but I'm not too worried if that does happen. We're going to Dark Whispers and through this beam. This guy can't move, so we should be able to just kill it around the corner. This one comes attached to a pretty funny quest that happens later on. Killed a bunch of stuff. Let's use Clairvoyant, see if it's still alive. Alright, it is still alive. It looks like a hallucination spawn, so it aggroed that whole pack of enemies over there. Let's shoot this guy, who we actually can see. So they're all fighting this hallucination over there. Off screen from us. I'm going to block them off with a monolith here. This guy now is starting to collect Nile stacks, but I think we'll die before we actually stack that fully. Up to 3. Let's get a 4th. And that was 5 and 6, and we summoned a Herald of Oblivion, because we have these two prophecies both cast 2 spells at once. And here's the Herald, just killing both of the enemies. Oh, we got blinded by something. It was this Sand Drake, which is a pretty dangerous enemy, but seems to have just died in one hit. That's interesting. Usually they have way more health than that. Level 16. Continuing to just clear through all this stuff. Just use Clairvoyance, and it looks like there's nothing. Clairvoyance is also nice in these dark areas because it does dispel the darkness as well, which Track wouldn't. Up to 3 stacks of Nile. Well, that was 4 and 5, but it also just died immediately to the Prophecy of Ruin, so we'll just rest and wait for that confusion to go away. Ouch. Alright, I took a big hit from something here. I should have been a little more careful, because I think there's an enemy up here. Let's pop our regeneration, and let's try to get the heck out of here. We came from down south, so it should be safe for us to blink south here. And then I'm going to just... I should have done this before blinking, pop accelerate and slow all of those enemies, because the speed boost we get is based on how many enemies we have slowed. But I do want some movement speed to get back around the corner, and then we can pass the turn until either something comes after us. Looks like something is coming down from the left here. Let's use clairvoyance to see what might be happening. Okay, so it's a unique white worm mass, which is a doomed and a mind slayer. And then there's also a rare skeleton coming from this side, which is an archmage skeleton. I don't want to fight those both at once, so I'm going to back up around the corner here, where this guy can't see me, and then block off the entrance with this monolith. Use my regeneration. Then we're going to try stacking Nile on this guy. We're surrounded by these shadows. Up to 5 Nile stacks here, so let's get rid of our entropic wasting, and we can see 3 enemies, so it should do a Nile stack on each one of them, which is why we leveled that up. And there's the Herald, who cleared out the unique, and then should help us clear out that guy. It looks like he rushed off screen. I'm going to step down around the corner and see if it killed him. It didn't, so let's use our regeneration. And in the interest of buying a little time, I'm going to... I could just use Suspend here. It's a little bit of a waste of our regeneration. I could also blink backwards. I think I'm just going to start by blinking backwards. And Dark Whispersing around the corner. Pass. The regeneration would continue to tick while suspended. I don't mean it's a waste in that way, but it's a waste in that we kind of want to be fighting while we have the regeneration effect. I'm not certain where the enemy went. Let's use this. Okay, so he went all the way over there for some reason, and is now coming back around this way. Well, that should be okay. I think blinking just confused it, so we should be able to pass the turn until our cooldowns are back up. We know it's like kind of around there somewhere. Oh no. Wow, okay. So this guy keeps just like teleporting back and forth. I think it has a random phase rune that it's activating. Or phase, because it's an archmage. And because we're attacking it from around the corner, it's just getting confused. I'm actually going to try to pull it down by activating a monolith over here and seeing if we can aggro it to that. The stupid rare does not want to fight me. Okay, we've got him at least in vision of us. Nile is at 0, even though we cast 2 spells, so it resisted 1. Let's use regeneration, because it's an archmage, so it's going to do range damage. And we've killed it. No enemies around here, so we'll just auto-explore a little bit. What did we see? We saw a mouse to our north. An invisible mouse, but just a mouse. We've been stunned by the Burning Shock, but we did get it with the Void Monolith Nile, so let's get the Herald in play to take out this guy. And he's gone. When the dust clears, nothing remains. I really enjoy playing this class because you have to work really hard to activate your combo and stuff, and once you get access to this combo, it's really fun to use. Okay, so in here, the boss of this zone, I guess I'll activate Clairvoyance. So the boss of this zone is down here. There's also a rare here. So in order to not run straight into the boss, what we're going to do is dig at an angle, and then the boss is down here but can't currently see us, and we can aggro him around the corner with our Dark Whispers. Boss is down here, and this way we aggro the boss without aggroing anything to the left or right that might happen to be there. It came up next to us, so I'm going to blink away real quick. We got frozen, so I'll shatter that, and then put this down. We've got Nile 0 on him. Alright, got blinded again. Blind should be okay. I am going to use a regen, though. Blind does mean that we can't activate our Nile, though, so that could be an issue. Cast that off into the darkness, and then let me just cast this. I'm pretty sure so we're here. I'm pretty sure the enemy is around here, so I'm going to cast this and try to push him down somewhere else. We've been stunned by the burning shock. So let me use Suspend here to just tick this down and get rid of the blind as well. And that should get some of our things off cooldown, because we just passed a few turns without being able to take damage. Enemy still has 3 stacks of Nile on it, which is kind of nice. And we are stunned, but I don't think that's a huge issue for us right now. So let's hit it with a Dark Whispers. That's up to 4 stacks, and then we should be able to get to 6 by casting one of these prophecies. There's the Herald, and we have killed the thingy. The rare is now coming after us. I think it got aggroed to a hallucination or something. Using my regen early. Oh, here's a random unique. So this is where things can get a little bit hairy. This guy only has 1 Nile stack on him, so we do need to leave soon. Let's use Shatter and the Black Monolith to distract these guys and try to get my blink off cooldown. And then I'm just going to leave and start stacking this up. They can aggro over to these things, maybe. Nile still at 0 on that guy. And now it's dead. Skeleton should come around the corner momentarily. Let me activate Clairvoyance to see where it went. Looks like there was something else over there, too, that's maybe invisible. Skeleton is coming after us, but seems confused about where it's getting hit from, so I'm happy to just keep blasting it from off screen. Yeah, so there's something fighting over there. There's a hallucination spawning. This poor skeleton is just so confused. And has died. Let's see. Let's pass the turn a bit and see. Then we can use Clairvoyance. Oh, never mind. This guy popped around the corner at me when I wasn't paying attention. Definitely shouldn't have done that. It is at minus 34, though. So we'll put up a Monolith just to block any attacks, and then do some prophecying. Minus 74 with 3 stacks of Nile. Can we get it to 5 this way? 5 stacks of Nile. And he's dead. Gosh, there's a Necromancer or something over there as well. Let me, again, just step around the corner. Taking some damage, so I'm going to have to pop a cooldown here. Even against this normal skeleton warrior, once they start stacking stuns on you, you can die. Let's use this. So we know there's something there, but we don't know what. And there's the archer over here, obviously. Okay, so there's a Dread Master, a ghost over here. I'm going to pass the turn a bunch, get all my cooldowns back. Then I shouldn't be able to hit the Dreadmaster. Let me do this again. So we've got, yeah, the Dreadmaster is over there. I shouldn't be able to hit it from around here, but maybe from this tile I can? No, I can't. But from here I should be able to. It's just going to come at me through the wall, though, because ghosts don't care about walls. I think it might be stuck fighting a hallucination. Throwing a black monolith off into the darkness just to see what happens. passing the turn a lot in these fights as well. Let's pop this. It doesn't seem like there's anything still alive over there. Oh no, it's still there. At 2 health, it's just invisible. Alright, it has been killed. Clairvoyance again, and there's nothing here. I like that this is called the overpowered Elm Wand of Clairvoyance, because it literally is. Being able to see through walls is so powerful. Block that off and just finish off this last guy. Alright, and we've cleared Kor'Pul. That should be one of a fairly slow tier 2 dungeon or tier 1 dungeon for us. The next one should be a little faster now that we've got our full combo online as well. Alright, let's get this magic and constitution going, and then with my last point here, I'm going to start putting points into these skills. So the first one that we're going to get is Essence Reeve. This basically does a decent amount of damage, but also gives us a Void Star. So if we're running low on Void Stars, we can use this to recover them. And it's also just a pretty solid nuke, just in general. And then over here, I'm going to put a point into Thick Skin. And back to the surface we go. That's a pretty good shielding rune. I still don't think it's as good as the Rune of Reflection that we have, though. Let me look at these staves. There's an Ash staff, which is a level 2 staff, but still nothing as good as what we have in storage. None of these belts are good. Big things that we're looking for are silence immunity, like on this robe, although I don't think it's as good as the Silk Current. Flat health still. And stun and confusion immunity, which usually show up on rings, which we didn't get any drops of. I'll take this because it lets you act when sleeping, so against certain enemies, you can equip it, and it can be pretty valuable against enemies that put you to sleep, like dreaming horrors and the like. And then it's time to do the next dungeon. So the third dungeon that we're going to do is basically we have a choice between the Scintillating Caves down there and the Heart of the Gloom. Those are two of the other tier 1 dungeons remaining. The Reloran Camp, which is the last tier 1 dungeon, is the hardest of the tier 1 dungeons, so you don't want to do this one until you've done all the others. We're going to do the Scintillating Caves. I think it's probably the safer of the 2 remaining tier 1 dungeons to do. As you enter the caves, you notice the magic has distorted the land, making sharp angles and turns. So this means we got the alternate layout for this dungeon. That shouldn't matter too much for us. Also, never ever pay attention to this call out. The zone is so easy that you can stroll to the last area with ease. It's lying, and of course you'll miss out on XP. Looks like no rares around here, so we should be safe to just start blasting. The gimmick for this dungeon is that all the enemies, or most of the enemies, are these crystals, which are immobile, but they can teleport randomly around. Alright, we've got a bear, and it's a Mind Slayer. Let's put this down, a rare bear, and just start stacking Nile on him. 1, and up to 3, and up to 5, and there he goes. Alright, rare Marauder Drake, so same deal. Block him off. There are 4 of these guys, so it's possible that our Nile goes on the wrong target. It actually looks like there's an Alchemist Crystal just off screen to the north there. Up to 3 Nile on that guy, though. Let's see if we get to 5. We did get to 5. And the last one summoned the Herald, so we're looking pretty good. I wonder if the Herald killed the Alchemist. No, it might have, but there's also a summoner. I guess I should have checked. I mean, I should have checked with Clairvoyance rather than just sort of walking into it and face-checking it, as we used to say in the old League of Legends. Those of you who've been watching me for 10 years will certainly experience some nostalgia when I talk about face-checking the enemies. Let's take a look at this crystal. So this is the alchemist that had summoned that golem, and I bet that we can return the favor by summoning a bigger, better golem. There he goes. So the alternate layout for the Scintillating Caves is typically harder because these levels are really small, so lots of high-level enemies can all be stacked on top of each other. We've cleared this whole area, so here's the vault. I'm going to level up before I open the vault. Let me get magic and constitution. And then over here, we have one more point. We can't get erase yet, which isn't incredibly powerful yet, but will be later on. That being said, I'm going to pick up Split. This is really good for fighting bosses, and we want 1 point in it. Actually, I might get Halo of Ruin. I'm split between Split and Halo of Ruin. Split is really good for fighting bosses because it summons a copy of the enemy, reducing their damage, and obviously doing damage because the Split copy can whack it. Halo of Ruin gives this chain of spells bonus effects, which includes a pretty powerful summon every 5 times you cast these spells. I'm going to go with Halo of Ruin just because it's a passive, so we don't have to do anything, and it just adds a little value to our fights. And then over here, I'll just continue to max Thick Skin for now. Rest to get everything off cooldown, and then open the door. Putting this monolith in the doorway. And that should have cleared those guys. Some enemies might be coming around the corner, though, so we'll just continue to cast in here where the Dark Whispers fills the whole area. Yep, there's another skeleton archer. And then we also have the Essence Reeve, which is our next nuke in our kit. Nothing else is coming around the corner, so let's just pop Clairvoyance, make sure nothing teleported around. It didn't. We should be safe to clear the rest of this vault. And that vault had some staves in it, so maybe there's something good for us. We'll take a look in a second here. Worse Shatter rune than we have. 10% darkness damage is probably worse than either of our current rings. I mean, it's the type of damage that we do. Maybe that's still better than this disarm immunity. I mean, we don't care about disarm immunity. We lose 20 life, but do 10% extra damage. So yeah, that's probably good. Clarity ring is confusion immunity. We'll hang on to that just because we will try to stack up confusion and stun immunity and silence immunity, and we're just going to hang on to everything in those categories to fill out whatever gaps we don't have filled. Here we've got disarm and pinning immunity. Probably not as good as our current boots. Here's a darkness damage helmet. It does mean that we effectively lose 40 maximum life, but that's the only thing this hat does for us, really. Oh no, it also does resistance penetration for darkness, but additional 12% darkness damage is pretty good. I'm gonna hang on to that one and think about it for a bit. Better light radius on this light, but nothing else that we want, and we do really still want the maximum life. Use Clairvoyance here. You can see there's a bunch of packs of enemies, a couple rares. Let's aggro these guys from around the corner. I shot that and it stepped right into it, which is kind of funny. I was expecting that to miss, but I'll take it. And then while we're not having to fight anything, we can just pass the turn a little bit, get our cooldowns back. Then we're going to step up here. We know there's an enemy up here somewhere. Looks like we did aggro the Cold Drake hatchlings at the same time, but that should be okay. I'm just going to block this guy off and get... That's 1 stack of Nile. He already has Dark Whispers, so Dark Whispers should stack Nile up to 2. Or sorry, it goes 0 through 6 rather than 1 through 7, so I always start counting it at 1 when I should start counting it at 0. Anyways, we're at 4 there, and then we should get to 6 if we cast 2 more prophecies. These guys we just kill with the damage over time. There's just a normal sandworm over here. I'm gonna rest and then use Clairvoyance. We saw there was some kind of worm enemy over there and a rare ant over there. This guy stuck us in an ice wall, but we'll block him off at least. All right, 2 rares. So we're gonna take this opportunity to back up. And then I'm going to try to teleport this guy back behind the ice wall from the other guy. Now this is... They're at 0 on this bear right now. 1. That should be 3. 5. And another Dark Whispers. The Herald is going after the other guys. I'm trying not to block the Herald off, and I swapped positions with him there to let him go after the bear. Looks like it did a bunch of damage, but didn't actually finish it. To use my regeneration here as well. We're going to have to fight this bear manually, but it did punch us backwards, which gives us a square of separation. Lets me block it with the monolith. Pop this. We see another rare. No bosses are unique so far in this level. Alright, here's another rare ant. Up to only 2 Nile stacks. I'm going to use regeneration. Oh, I misclicked there. Shot the wall. Getting a little bit sloppy, and I need to just make sure that my casting is actually aimed at the enemies. Alright, we've got another rare spider down here, so let's do Dark Whispers. So it's at 0. Cacophony should put it to 2. This should put it to 4. And then we can use the second prophecy to summon. It's important to know that these 3 spells all count as 2 spell casts for the purpose of Nile. Another rare worm over here, so has 190 health, but it's a rogue, so I don't want to take any chances. We'll just teleport away. It went back around this way to try to get to me, but because we blocked him off. So this is the ability we just picked up, and when this stacks to 5, we get a bonus effect on our next spell. I'll show that in a second. So here, this would turn at 5, this becomes a beam instead of a bolt. This causes the explosion to pin enemies in place, and this one leaves an entropic maw on the ground, which you can see here, and that enemy taunts or that ally, that summon of ours taunts and actually has a ton of health and does decent damage, so that can be pretty valuable. Usually the entropic maw is the good one of those effects to go for. Sure, where the enemy, Alright, I wasn't certain where the guy went, so we're just gonna do this and then change level. Another confusion immunity ring. Demon Taint. The boot. I don't think Demon Taint is a great description of boots, but this is, it gives us rush at talent level 3, which actually is a decent distance. So even though this says rush towards an enemy and attack them, rush you can use away from an enemy. So this gives us a mobility skill. All right, here's a boss level bear. I forgot to look at the other items we got there. I was too busy putting on the boots. So, whoops. Hope there was nothing good in that pile of loot. You should really look at your inventory before moving between zones, because otherwise that can happen. Alright, so this bear is a bulwark and a cursed, so melee. Let's block it off with this monolith. Wow, that did a lot of damage. It almost one-shot the monolith. Alright, so this guy we do not want to let get next to us. We can always retreat back up the stairs if we have to. Up to 3 Nile stacks. Let's get the prophecies on it. At least it's not resisting the Nile stack, so it's at 5 already. And then we killed that guy, the Herald spawns, and whacks the boss. We're at 5 here, so I'm also going to put this down, and then in a couple turns, when this explodes, it should pin it in place. Luckily, it died before that because the Herald of Oblivion is overpowered. This guy we can kill around the corner because it's an immobile enemy who can't hit us, so sucks to be this yellow jelly. One thing to keep an eye out for, though, is that because we have Power Overwhelming sustained, every spellcast we do... Oops, I didn't mean to move left. Every spellcast we do causes us to take additional entropic backlash, so we can actually stack that up pretty high to the point where it can become a real danger to ourselves, which is why we put all our points in Constitution early and everything. Alright, there's a Thought-Forged Bowman over here, so this belongs to this rare solipsist, who just hit us with that beam, so I'm going to pop my regeneration. This guy put us to sleep, but we can use our Shatter Afflictions rune to get out of it. It's already at 3 Nile, but also it just died to the Prophecy of Ruin damage. Alright. We've got a couple summons from this Shimmering Crystal, but they died really quick, so I'm not too worried about them. Shimmering Crystal did teleport right next to us, but we just blast him. Let me step back a little bit. Okay, and we've got this Fire Crystal. Fire Crystal teleported randomly somewhere else. Alright, another boss level enemy. It's this snake. It's currently trapped behind this mountain troll, so I'm gonna not worry too much about the snake until, well, it pushed the troll out of the way. So good job, snake. Let's teleport backwards, and then I'll block it off with a monolith. Now it's trying to go around the other way, which actually does cause us a little bit of a problem because we can't stack Nile on it. So we're going to use the troll to stack Nile, but the troll died too quickly. It just didn't have the health to survive. Let's find out where the snake went. Okay, it's trying to go all the way around this way. It also moves really fast because it's a snake. So I'm going to kind of work my way around this way and get it to come from a different direction while we wait for our cooldowns to come back off. So this... Standing here, I should see it coming from either direction, and then we can block it off again. I guess that made it try to go all the way around again, but we did get Dark Whispers on it, and I'll get Cacophony on it. See if it comes back this way now. Let me put this down, because I think it might make it in anyways. Gonna pass the turn here, so it's moved into that explosion. Now we'll get our prophecies on it, and it's up to only 0 Nile, so this guy is resisting our Nile effects. Important to notice when that's happening, and you won't necessarily be able to summon. Whispers, and up to Nile 1. We can have the Entropic Maw summon, so let's try to teleport it away. and get the Entropic Maw blocking it. Didn't block it, but did put it all the way back here. It resisted the Nile effect again, though. See if we can get it up to 3 with that cast. We did. Up to 4 there. 5. So if it doesn't resist, this should summon. It did resist. We still have Dark Whispers on it. We do, so this should give us 2 chances at summoning, which we did. And then we killed the guy. Okay. Also got a unique shield, but that's not terribly useful. Use that, see if there's any enemies. There weren't any enemies. Ooh, another rune. And we've got another vault. Opening up this vault, we see a skeleton Magus in here. And we just take him out. Open one of the doors of these vaults at a time, of course. These guys we can block off mostly with our Void Monolith, although they're actually shooting beams, but they're aggroed to the monolith instead of to me. Collect all that stuff, and then what's in here? Just 2 more skeleton mages, who also both aggroed to the monolith. And there we go. Alright, let's learn from our mistakes last time. So I'm definitely going to hang on to the Prismatic Rune, because it blocks a bunch of instances of damage of some types, and can be really useful for certain encounters later in the game, even if you only use it temporarily and then overwrite it. Let me do some tagging. Wait, what was this guy again? Oh, that one we're just getting rid of. And then this is a Confusion 23 ring. I like to tag things in my inventory. You don't have to do this, of course, but it does just give me a little bit of ability to like remember why I'm hanging on to stuff, especially if I don't play for a while apart. I'm just going to get rid of that darkness helmet, though. Everything else here, I think we can hang on to, and let's look at what we dropped. Thick cloak, some armor, another rushing boots at doesn't actually say talent level 1, so we don't want that. It's not that fast, or not that far. The rushing distance is based on the talent level. Alright, I think everything else here is trash. I should show you this. So rush you can use... oh no, wait. They changed that. You can only use it to a creature now, so you can't use it to get away. So... Sorry, it's been a bit since I've played this game. You used to be able to use rush just onto the ground and use it to get away. It's still an okay escape skill, because you can rush to a mage or like a non-dangerous melee enemy. But I assume that some people have been complaining about that in the comments already. Well, rest assured, I figured it out. Alright, let's go to the next level, and we'll pop Clairvoyance first, just for... the sake of correct play. We've got this ooze over here, which we should be able to summon the Herald off of. There he goes. And we'll just let the Herald run around and kill stuff. Alright, looks like it couldn't see anything around that corner, so that's fine. Here we are, let's pop Clairvoyance. Nothing super dangerous. Pop Clairvoyance over here. Nothing. Okay, over here, there's a few things. So here's a unique bear. There's also a rare fox over there. So let's rest for our cooldowns, and then we'll step down here a bit. We can fight along this tunnel if they come at us this way. Just gonna pop this and see if anything is currently aggroed to us. Yeah, I don't mind fighting along this tunnel, because this gives us a nice straight line that we can fight in. I can't tell. Yeah, so there's no wall there, so we aggroed the fox. Fox is in this tile currently. Let me use Cacophony here. Alright, the fox has teleported to us, and it's a rogue. It's hit us and pinned us, as well as stunning us, so we're gonna get it with the prophecy, and then refresh, and the prophecy actually killed it immediately, because it had already taken some damage. Notice that we're at 4 stacks here. So I could use like the entropic maw over here, which I'm going to try to aggro the enemies to me. Summoner enemy, so it's just popping a bunch of stuff right next to me, which is kind of annoying. Alright, and here it is. It's a summoner and a doomed, has hit us with a big confusion shout. I should probably have just backed off after killing the fox and not tried to take this fight without cooldowns, but we should be okay. No Nile stacks on it yet, because there were 3 enemies in view. Now we're up to 0. 1, 2. Using my regen here. That's 4 Nile stacks, and then we can get a 5th one. Actually, let's use this Essence Reeve and whack it and get a Void Star back, going up to 3 Void Stars. Still only at 4 Nile stacks, because it's summoned a bunch of crap that's tanking them. We just need to get a little lucky with where the stacks go in order to summon. Alright, we did. And we have killed it and hit level 18, which is also a pretty important level, because it means we get access to our next tier of skills in our level 10 talent tree. So let's level up and grab that. So this is Erase. So enemies, as they get Nile stacked on them, it reduces their damage by 1% and also causes them to take a little bit of damage over time. This is a pretty minor effect, but it's not terrible, and we do want to get up to All Is Dust here. Maxing out magic. We've almost reached our maximum base magic, which is 50, and then we'll continue to max Constitution for a bit. I might switch to Cunning pretty soon, just to start increasing our damage. And then over here, I'm going to keep maxing out Luck Drinker like we talked about. Let me pop this Clairvoyance Wand. Nothing around here. Anything around here? Nope. Looks like we've cleared this level. Alright, on to the next level. Let me do inventory management first again. Dagger, Mind Stars, nothing good. I'm actually going to put these phasing boots back on because now I've realized that rushing boots don't do anything for us. Even though they do have a very funny name. Ooh, 1,000 gold pieces. Alright, and let's head down to the next level. I think there's only 5 levels in the alternate Scintillating Caves. It might be 6, though. I can't remember. Alright, here's a unique Alchemist, Archmage. That's a pretty dangerous combination, because they have this golem that tanks for them, and they can hit you with beams and stuff. Gonna drop down this Void Monolith. Looks like it cast Inferno and covered the whole area in flames. They're both aggroed to the Void Monolith, but there's also a rare bear over here. 3 stacks of Nile. That's only up to 4 stacks, and we've been hit by... we just don't have enough Insanity to keep casting high-level spells. It's up to 5, though. And let me put the Entropy here. Nile has stacked up to 6, and we have the Herald of Oblivion. It's just off-screen. It got summoned in one of these 2 tiles. And should hopefully kill the bear as well. Looks like it didn't have quite enough time to kill the bear for us, but we should be able to just zap it. Okay, and here's the boss of this level, so there are only 5 levels in alternate scintillating caves. It's fairly rare to get the alternate layout for this dungeon, so I'm not super familiar with it, but so this is actually kind of an issue because our Herald is on cooldown. So I'm actually going to just step down around the corner here and get away from it. We got blinded, but I just want... This guy can't move, the spell blaze crystal. So we're going to step down around the corner a bit and kill the rest of this stuff. Oh gosh, there's so many enemies in this little location. So worst case scenario, we can blink back onto the doorway and blink back onto the staircase and then step back up. But this is a lot of enemies, and our Herald is on cooldown. Hit by another sleep effect, so this one we're just going to have to pass. I am going to use this to stop the entropic wasting damage. Another sleep effect, so could be going better. We have to just pass the turn a couple times until we can act again. Alright, we can now act again. Gonna use this to get a Void Star back and maybe just kill this guy. It's got a shield, but not a big one, and only 100 health, and so if we just blast it, I think we can kill it fairly quickly. That said, I'm also going to put down a Void Monolith in the way, and I'm going to pop my regeneration. It's at 52 health, using a Dark Whispers and a Cacophony, and hopefully that's enough to kill these 2 rares. We have Talent Failure chance. I'm going to use this to cleanse some of that poison, just so we're taking less damage. And then I'm going to pass the turn a bunch. We know that the Spellblaze crystal's around somewhere, although we don't see it in Clairvoyance, so it's more than 10 tiles away from us. Oop, something got me. Alright, Spellblaze crystal just teleported back in here. Put this in the way and heal. We've got 1 Nile stack on it. 2. That should be 3 and 4. Let me get out of this fire field, so I'm just going to step towards it 1, and that also gives us the option of blinking to the right. Because this has an Archmage class type, it's actually doing a ton of damage to me, even though it can't move. Up to 3 Nile stacks on it. Hit it with Dark Whispers again. Actually, let's hit it with Essence Reeve and get a Void Star back if we can. We did, but then it immediately knocked it off us again by doing a big enough damage instance. And then with this, we should stack Nile to 5. And then with this, hopefully to 6 and summon. And our Herald was back off cooldown, which is good. And we have killed the Spellblaze Crystal, which is the boss of this region. Let me pop Clairvoyance. Okay, so had to fight that guy around a bunch of enemies. Something over here is pretty dangerous, so let me just blink away from whatever just made that big field of flame. And I'll take this 1 step at a time. Okay, we've got this crystal down here. And it's this guy, the Wormic / Saw Butcher. So I'll step out of range of that. It's shooting me from off screen. But we know it's in this tile, and right now it can't see me. So I should be able to just kill it from off screen safely. It may have teleported somewhere else because all the enemies in this zone can teleport. Yeah, it looks like it did. No, okay, it's still just down here. We can fire this beam next to it because it does the explosion in a radius. Using that to remove the entropic wasting that I've been stacking up on myself, just in case something comes after me. And then this guy is slowly getting DPS'd down. But, you know, slow and steady does it, as they say. We've killed it, and then pop this. Let's look and see if there's a good place to attack this guy from. Over here seems pretty good, where again it can't see us. It will eventually teleport randomly somewhere else. For now it hasn't, though. Actually, a little confused why it didn't, but we were able to just kill it for free, so that's kind of nice. Then we've got this guy, who we can see already, so let's kill this a little faster with the Herald. Come on. There's also a golem, because something has... Some alchemist is off screen somewhere. Looks like there's a wall there that stopped that Dark Whispers from hitting that guy. Let's step up here and kill this dredge. Oh yeah, notice that like blue explosion? That's from our cloak. So that's the... Or from our robe. That's the extra robe damage. The extra spellcast that we get sometimes on hit effects with spells. Just a little bit of free extra damage. Alright, here's a Berserker Giant Lightning Ant. Making sure to get Dark Whispers on all these enemies around the corners. Gonna pass the turn until Clairvoyance is back off cooldown and use that again. Looks like everything's dead except for this Lightning Ant, which will aggro around the corner as well. Comes up here, and now we can see it, so I'm going to block it off with the Void Monolith. Ooh, it jumped right over the Void Monolith. But, no, we can't do that because I placed it 4 tiles away. If I'd placed the Void Monolith 3 tiles away from me, I could teleport to the other side of the Void Monolith. As is, though, we're just going to do this. Took a big hit there and got stunned, so I'm going to pop Shatter Afflictions rune and my regen. Shatter rune again on the confusion effect there. And then we do have a 5-stack of this, so we can summon an Entropic Maw if we teleport it away, which we did, and that plus the prophecy and everything killed it. Let's just explore everything here, and then we've got just this vault remaining. Inside are a bazillion spiders, but we can lock them all off with this monolith. Spiders are cleared out, and we've picked up all those runes. Let's take a look at our inventory here. Acid, Blink, range 4, cooldown 18. That's the same as our current one. Some Shatter runes that are worse than our current ones. Bill's Tree Trunk, which is a big club. We don't need that. I wonder if he knew it was over here instead of in his house. Oak Slicer. The boots, which are not great. These boots have spell power and are marginally useful, but the ones that we currently have are magic. We also have another water-breathing item. I think the Undead Belt is better, but I'm going to hang on to this because it depends on whether our belt or our helmet is better when we want the water-breathing item. I'm never going to use that, so we'll just hang on to the Belt of Undeath. And then that's it. Everything else in this zone was trash. So let's take a hop out on our Rod of Recall. We're now level 18. And we are going to head back up to the Heart of the Gloom, the next dungeon that we're going to do. Oh no, there's a patrol in our way. Alright, can I get around it? Yeah. Alright, here we are at the Heart of the Gloom, but this was a pretty long video, so I'm going to make the cut here. Thanks for watching, my friends, and next time we're going to finish off the Tier 1 dungeons and get into the really dangerous part of the game. So, cheers, folks. Hope you've enjoyed the video as always, and if you have, or have advice, or anything that you want done differently, or any questions about the build, or the game, or characters, the character, feel free to ask me, and of course, always feel free to subscribe to the channel for this and other strategy game content. Cheers, folks. GG.